The tax. Countdown to Pesach, number 22. Let's talk about taxes. Yes. So there is in Halacha Hey, in the Shulchan Aruch Harav, Siman Tav Chaf Tes, he says that there's a minhag that has spread throughout all of Israel, that every single congregation imposes a tax on everyone in their city that will fund a supply of wheat for Pesach, everyone in the city, to make sure they have wheat to bake their own matzahs. And then anyone who lives in the city, gets it. And anyone who lives in the city is obligated to participate unless they're one of the poor people. If someone moves to the city and they say, I don't intend to live here, if there's a poor person and they have to be there for 30 days in order to be able to benefit from this, and if they're they're here temporarily, so then, and they're saying, I don't want to be here, and they're not there for 30 days, so then they don't have to participate in that community's ma'os chitim. Obviously, this money is for wheat. So, of course, you understand, first thing is that at the Seder, when we say halach ma'ani, we hold up the matzah, and we speak about the bread, and everyone who wants can eat bread. We're talking about the bread because we're saying we made sure that everyone had enough money for matzah. And it's interesting because we're talking about money for matzah, we're not talking about wine, we're not talking about the other necessities of Pesach. And remember, the community has to provide wine as well. But the special tax is just for the wheat. Then the people have to go and take the wheat and they have to, process it and, turn it into flour, so on and so forth. But the idea was to give people the basics so they could do something with it. And of course, this is the whole idea about Pesach, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by giving us these mitzvahs, was basically giving us the basics of what we could do to earn enough merit to be saved, and he wanted to see what we would do with it. So we had to tie up the animals, we had to put the blood on, we had to roast it, we had to invite friends, we had to participate together. So the idea of the ma'os chitim is to fund the capacity, the same capacity they had on that first Pesach when they were living in Mitzrayim. Now, obviously, on the obligation of ma'os chitim these days is different, even if not for quarantine. But the fact is, it's global. So my first obligation is to make sure that the places that provide matzah or Pesach food for people in my community, those are my first obligation. If I live here and I intend to stay here for more than 30 days, my first obligation is to Yonkers. Yeah, and then Westchester County. After I fulfill that basic obligation, if there's a tzedakah here that does that, then I could give to Eretz Yisrael or other people, other places in the United States. But then my primary obligation is to the place where I live, because remember, a great deal about Pesach is creating a safe environment. You all eat in the house. You don't step out of the house. So there are many concepts about Pesach that have to do with creating a special place. And this is one of those halachos to be continued.